lives for good.
We've got you covered. CCFM is everywhere.
And it's time for us to say a very, very good morning to Tobie and Zanel. Good morning, guys.
Good
Morning.
morning.
Hi, morning.
So this is Story of Hope, and we find ourselves in the last 2 days of Marriage Week here in South Africa, a week to celebrate marriages, to help marriages to grow, and really just wanting to put a spotlight on marriages, because marriages are the foundation of a family, and we need to see more marriages growing and being successful. And so that's why we are having this conversation in Story of Hope. But I'd love for you guys to kick off with some stories, because you guys operate in that sphere of marriage counseling. So share a couple of stories with regard to some of those situations that you've counseled into and there's been positive growth and change.
Yeah, Jonathan, I think one of the stories that come to mind is a story of a couple that we actually, the Lord started speaking to us before we even got to know them. We were sitting in church one Sunday morning, and I said to Tobie, maybe we should invite the couple that was sitting in front of us for supper or something, or dinner, or just coffee. And Tobie was like, but why do you want to do that? And but I think it was the Holy Spirit that already started preparing something. And so eventually, long story cut short, we invited them over for lunch one day, and got to get to know them better. And in our conversations, we realized that they were actually not in a very good space. So at one point, we were talking about the covenant marriage retreats we were presenting, and the wife of this couple was very keen to go, and I could see her husband was kind of a bit hesitant, and he was driving a very nice car. So I asked him, what car he was driving, and we started talking about the car. And then I said to him, so do you take your car for a service regularly? And he was like almost saying, yeah, of course I do that, because you can't drive a car like this and then don't take it for a service. And yeah, so I said to him, well, don't you think your marriage is more value than your car? And don't you think it's necessary to take your marriage for a service? And so eventually they did attend the marriage, the covenant marriage retreat. And only later on, we discovered, in what space they were, and how they were struggling, and how they were hoping for something better, but they needed that extra help, and the Lord wanted to intervene. And I think that's the thing about, the stories that we are journeying with people, is the fact that you have to get to a point where you open your heart and allow the Lord to come and minister. And that's exactly what this couple have done. I mean, at one point they were not even talking to each other. They talked to each other on WhatsApp, while they were still in the same house in two different rooms, but that's how amazing the Lord is, and how wonderfully He can change things. That now when we meet them, we actually became friends with them, because it's just amazing to see how the Lord has ministered to them, how He healed them, how He restored them, and actually using them now to inspire others.
Sure.
And there's not many other stories of people that we've encountered that, come to us or come to retreat, and they said, listen, this is the last ditch effort that we're going to attempt with our marriage. And we've seen God come through. Just when people step up and they do something intentional, and I think that's what we talked about, that you got to be intentional about marriage, and you got to be intentional about working on your marriage. It's going to require effort. And rather do that before you get to the place where it falls out of, where you got major problems and then want to seek help. Go and get that help before the time. That's why we use the analogy of servicing your marriage. Don't wait until it breaks down. Service it regularly. Be intentional about those things.
That is so brilliant. And on that note of intentionality, let's talk about it. I mean, it is a marriage week, and we're wanting to just focus a little bit on that. So what are some of those practical things that couples can do to help their marriages and to, quote unquote, service them?
Yeah, I think it's really important. Zanel will mention a few things now that can help, but it is really important for us to know that it is going to require work. It requires attention from us in our marriages, so we don't get to that place where it gets into a big mess and then we got to try and unravel everything. So to be intentional about building your marriage continually is the best that you can do. And there are things that we can do that can be done, that we can plan regularly, that we can just be intentional about giving attention to those things on a regular basis. And some of it will cost you nothing. It's just an intentional gesture. It's just something you do. Some of it may ask you to financially invest in it, but don't let that hold you back, because there's many things that we can do that actually cost us nothing. And so now maybe you want to just share a few things that practically can help.
Yeah, we shared a few things during this week on Facebook. Those who follows us, we shared a few practical things that you can do. Just reminders of how small, such a small act can actually convey so much and invest in your marriage. Other things you can do is just to be intentional about spending quality time together. I think we sometimes get into all the things of daily life, and we neglect the fact that we need to also invest in time, looking each other in the eyes, speaking to each other, hearing each other, and not just be planning and doing all the necessary things for life every day. You can subscribe to a marriage blog or podcast or YouTube videos that you can work through together. There's so many material out there that you can use to build into your marriage. You can read a book, a little bit more. Things that cost a little bit more is, like, for instance, attending a marriage workshop or seminar, or doing a whole retreat. But those things are necessarily. For instance, if you do a retreat like every 5th year, you don't have to do it so regularly, but it's investing really quality time into your marriage. And I think the one thing that we also realize over the years that we've been in ministry with marriage couples is that, the intention of just looking after oneself and taking responsibility for your own health and your spiritual health and all of that is eventually going to contribute to whether your marriage is going to be healthy or struggling.
It's like almost having a garden. You're not tending to the garden. It's going to get overgrown. It's going to get untidy. It's going to be a place where snakes and rodents live and where they just, breed. So we don't want that for our marriage. So service your marriage, look after your marriage, just like you do with a garden. That's basically the basic thing we want to share this morning.
And I mean, if you think about it, if you think about a garden, it's attractive to go to a beautiful garden. But if you don't look after your garden, you actually don't want to spend time there. So
Yeah, that is so true. I love what you guys are saying. And there's so much that we can talk about. We don't have all that much time, but we do still have about 4 minutes or so. So with regard to just focusing and helping your marriage to grow and thrive, this morning, just in terms of something that I shared earlier on air, a couple of people reached out to us anonymously, just saying that their marriage is in tatters. One person saying that their wife has moved out of the house. And in that situation, how do we deal with that? How would you suggest we deal with it? Is it a thing of that the one can go for counseling and maybe see if there's a way to sort this out?
I think it's not the easiest thing when that happens. Ideally, the best situation would be for both the man and the wife to be available and willing to work on the marriage. In that case, there is ways that you can walk alone and try and do things from your side as a husband or as a wife, depending on the situation, to address that and to try and hear from God. Obviously, pray and just put every effort in to bring that person back, or to actually be the best person that you can be in that situation. But it is not an easy place, and that's why we much rather would say to people, spend time. And I also can't say that, someone who's married 30 years didn't spend time investing in their marriage. That would be unfair, because many times that did happen, and still we get into trouble many times regarding that. So it's not an easy thing. It's not a straight answer. But seek help and get some people around you to pray and be accountable to them for what you're doing in that situation.
That's fantastic. And another thing that somebody can do on the more on the side of just kind of regularly servicing and helping your marriage is to do an online 21-day marriage challenge. Quickly just touch on that for us, Tobie and Zanel.
Okay, so that's we're very excited about this. We launched it about 2 or 3 weeks ago. Actually, a relaunch of something we did in lockdown, which helped a lot of couples. It's 21 days. It's 7 short video sessions that you watch online, and then it gives you a challenge. It challenges you as a couple in some area, depending on the topic for that day or for that section. It challenges you, gives you a practical thing to do, and it's amazing. We've heard so many testimonies of that coming through from people that have already done that, and it runs by itself. You get emails every 3rd day or so. And so it's really something just to get you going, get you into that place of intentionally doing something that'll help.
Yeah, and I think it's a very exciting challenge to also share, for instance, in a cell group or in your friendships, to challenge other couples as friends to work through it together, because I think it's good to just share what the Lord is doing as you grow through a process like that.
That is brilliant. So that, ladies and gentlemen, is one of the items that we're actually going to be giving away this morning. We've got a couple of prizes to give away, thanks to Tobie and Zanel from Crosspoint Family Consultants. Tobie, I'm so keen, but I want to let you guys share just some of those prizes we're giving away today. And let's just say #tomorrow, there's some more prizes, and the conversation continues. But let's get into the prizes that we're giving away today.
Okay, so we've got one free access to the marriage challenge for a couple. And all you have to do is you just answer a question on WhatsApp, and we would like to name one of the things that we mentioned that can enrich your marriage, whether it be something that costs finances or not. What is one of those things that you can do to enrich your marriage that we mentioned? And then you will go into a draw where we will let you know if you won one of those free accesses. It's to the value of 250 Rand. That's the challenge's price. And then also for people that enter, they go into a draw of winning one of 3 prizes, which is, the first one is a Wednesday dinner with me and Zanel at Nikos Greek restaurant in Glengarry, at Glengarry Shopping Centre. There's also a 1.5 hour consultation, private marriage consultation, coaching consultation that you can win with us, as well as a homely voucher which contains coffee and the loveliest shortbread in Cape Town.
Absolutely delicious shortbread, I can say. I've bought it and tasted it, and it really is so good. Okay, so there you hear, ladies and gentlemen. Because it's marriage, because it's this platform, we want to encourage you. Obviously, you've got to be a married couple to participate in this competition. Sorry to all the singles out there. #being married is good.
Yes.
But yeah, if you want to enter the competition using our WhatsApp number 061-798-1075, just send us a short text message and use the keyword marriage, and then give us your name, your husband or wife's name, your email address as well, and send it through now on 061-798-1075. Tobie and Zanel, it's been great chatting to you guys, and tomorrow we're going to definitely continue that conversation, talking into the whole thing of the common things that tend to cause struggles and problems in marriage. And I know that one of those can be finances, the other thing can be different priorities, and it's been really great chatting to you guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jonathan. Thanks, Rachel. God bless.
Thank you. Blessings.
God bless you guys too. There we go.